Hello everyone, and welcome to the episode number 14 of JustDario Cigar Time. There is really a lot to talk about today, and I think there is no best place to start from Stargate. What happened in the last couple of weeks since the previous episode is nothing less than epic. Everything started with Sam Altman, Masayoshi Son, and Larry Ellison at the White House announcing in great style this Stargate AI project, okay, that would have required, that was their ask, $500 billion to build. And when they were asked, okay, what's going to be the benefit, for everyone of this Stargate project, one of the answers, and perhaps the most ridiculous one, was, thanks to AI, everyone is gonna be able to enjoy basically tailor-made vaccines, and we will cure cancer and blah, blah, blah. And, it didn't take long for people that were already laughing about this, even if the protagonist didn't realize at that time, it didn't take long for people to figure out, isn't 500 billion too much? First. But the second thing is, do they have the money to support this, even among all the, syndicate of potential investors, supporters they mentioned? The answer was very simple. The answer was no. SoftBank didn't have the money. OpenAI, of course, it's practically broken with little to no cash left in the account and desperate to raise capital. And Oracle didn't have by far all those resources to deploy. Okay, so how do you describe such a publicity stunt? That was really the apex of Silicon Valley grifting. There is no other way to describe that. And as if it wasn't already obvious enough, okay, what was going on there. Few days later, something happened that took almost everyone by surprise. Why I say almost everyone? I say almost everyone because myself and few other people that were paying attention to what was really happening into the space were already reporting about DeepSeek breakthrough. DeepSeek was coming up fastly with its models. And incredibly speaking, the 31st of December 2024, even the CNBC had a segment aired on this, telling everyone how this little-known Chinese lab called DeepSeek apparently managed to develop a large language model on par with the likes of OpenAI with virtually no resources, handful of $1 million. So the week started with 500 billion needed for Stargate to build AI, to develop and crap like this, and ended with a little-known AI lab in China that, for a fraction of a cost and a fraction of time, developed something that Silicon Valley required billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars to develop in many, many years. Of course, the shock was great, but it wasn't only great because of what has been achieved. The shock was great because DeepSeek made its model open source. And that was such a bold and smart move that the likes of Silicon Valley grifters are not used anymore. All they're trying to do is to create monopolies to maximize their profit, not to build technology to advance civilization for the benefit of society. The only ones beneficial to the development, the technological development of this past decade, let's be honest, there have been few very large companies, and that's it, right? So making the model open source immediately took away all the possibility that Silicon Valley and its incredible PR machine had to start spreading false narratives around it. I mean, the code is there. Everyone can download it. Everyone can modify it. And everyone can run it on its own laptop. Yes, this was the ultimate shock. With the right setup, a large language model on par with OpenAI ChatGPT that in theory is running upon GPUs in large data centers could be instead run on your laptop with a full code. Some people even showed cases in which they could even run it offline. Clearly, every attempt to undermine this didn't stop. And the most incredible thing that investors still fail to appreciate so far, broadly speaking, is that while, the PR machine was saying, oh, you're giving the data to the Chinese, you are betraying America, this model has been stolen, blah, 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 this kind of crap, right? Then you started to have Microsoft, Amazon, and at last, even Nvidia made available on its own tech stack for its user the DeepSeek open source model available to run for free. I mean, do you understand how powerful that is? So clearly the game is changed. And I know that the undermining attempt of this incredible achievement are gonna keep going for a while. Yesterday there was an article that, it claimed, DeepSeek had access to 50,000 GPUs, a mix of H100, H800, H20, blah, blah, blah. They didn't spend $6 million. They spent $1.3 billion to develop this, whatever. Okay, I said a very simple thing. Let's assume all your numbers and calculation assumptions are correct. Okay, yeah, okay. Let's assume they're correct and we trust them. Where did they get the money from? At the end of the day, there is a very simple rule if you want to see how true something is or not. Just follow the money, right? See if the reality matches what's out there in the web or in people's assumption or whatsoever. So, okay, fine. Assuming they spend $1.3 billion, where did they get the money from? Not from its founder, Yang Wenfeng, that, okay, he's an hedge fund manager, but according to estimates, his net worth is around $150 million, $70 million, depends on the estimates. And everyone knows that that money is on paper. He doesn't really have all that money in his bank account. Okay? So clearly he didn't have $1.3 billion. Who else? Like a company out of nowhere, completely anonymous, spend $1.3 billion and give it to them, a little known lab that published some good papers during the year, but still, you don't give $1.3 billion to a bunch of researchers, right? No one does, for free, and even without claiming any credit, right? So clearly, not a private company didn't do it. Did the China government do it? Was this a huge operation to undermine Silicon Valley and American technology? Guys, I am recording this episode today from the middle of China, okay? And whoever puts out there this kind of things really has zero understanding about how China government operate and how China culture is. In China, it's a mindset to produce the highest possible quality product at the minimum of a cost to make it more affordable for everyone and sell very large numbers of it. That's a mindset across the board, okay? So, and the government doesn't jump in giving billions like happens elsewhere to little to no people, in particular coming from the finance sector that at the moment doesn't really benefit from, great support from the government because of popular backlash about pays, behaviors, and whatever happened in the past. That doesn't happen. In particular, like a few days after DeepSeek was launched, Alibaba comes out with a completely free model. I'm part with that. Totally developed privately. Again, the typical spirit of, Chinese entrepreneurship. So clearly, you can see how that claim or that article didn't make any sense whatsoever, simply because they didn't have the money. Did they steal ChatGPT? Well, the code is up there. It's open source. Everyone can see. Everyone can go through it. They can dissect, they can audit it and whatever. How that hell happened? I mean, guys, let's stop being foolish here. What happened is simply what Silicon Valley companies did for decades and decades. Every cycle, there was a new David raising from a garage in Silicon Valley with little to no budget and completely disrupting big companies. And then the cycle went on and on. This is what happened. And it happened in China because, let's be fair, Silicon Valley became just a bunch of grifters that keep running around, raising billions and billions of dollars, squandering them, clearly not on great technological development for the benefit of the society, surely for their own enrichment, while somewhere else in the world, there were people that effectively played the games as Silicon Valley used to do, and they won, shocking everyone in the process. So here is where we stand right now, okay? So DeepSeek is out there. It's the number one, LLM app downloaded around the world. Great success, so we draw a line, okay? So the news is out there, right? A few days later, the Wall Street Journal reports that Sam Altman is pitching investors to raise $40 billion for OpenAI. It's $340 billion valuation. That is more than double than the last fundraise it did, apparently a few months ago. I mean, $40 billion? I mean, can you see how nonsensical this is? Can you see how detached from reality these people are? They completely lost their mind. They completely lost their soul. It's not about technological development anymore. It's just about enrichment. And it couldn't be more obvious than this. And after the Stargate fiasco, SoftBank comes on top of this saying they will commit up to $25 billion to OpenAI. I mean, guys, the game is over. Guys got caught, okay? The game is over. Enough is enough. Now people figure out you're just like a bunch of liars, effectively. So, and it's time to, reconsider what else you have been doing for the past years that unfortunately worked because everyone was distracted, okay? Everyone was too busy to look at the numbers, as myself and a few other people did, to realize that what was happening all around didn't make any sense. Never made any sense, right? So, I mean, $40 billion, like these guys just developed something for $6 million. That Sam Altman, he should really go in hiding, okay? Because, tell you, now everything got exposed. People are starting to look, to do due diligence into the books. And that's it. In this kind of situation, we would rather be more honorable and perhaps better for everyone's sake, just to raise the white flag. You got caught, you scammed everyone, you stole billions and billions of money that went somewhere, definitely not to develop the technology, okay? And then you try to talk your case not to end up in prison. That is what he should be busy doing, and other people that enabled what happened there. And who is gonna stand to lose the most in all this situation? Of course, Nvidia. When Stargate project was announced, even if it didn't make any sense whatsoever, the investors' crowd was mouth-watering, dreaming about the billions and billions that would have been spent again on Nvidia GPUs. The stock was soaring and so on. Even after it was clearly put out there that project didn't have any funding whatsoever. The craziness didn't stop, right? And then DeepSeek came and he showed to the world that whatever has been spent in GPUs in the past several years was completely unnecessary. These people were simply like throwing billions after billions as if these GPUs were like running out of fashion, okay? And they had to put their hands on them, otherwise they would have been left behind. Who gets the hands on them first who will be like getting an advantage or whatever. While, as I said many times, all the premises around the use of GPUs and this incredible need of them to develop AI were wrong. I wrote about this. I said this on previous podcasts and whatsoever. And now DeepSeek demonstrated it to everyone. You don't need hundreds and thousands of GPUs all around to develop AI. You don't. Furthermore, you need 0 GPU to run an AI model once it has been trained. 0. Literally 0. People around the world are running DeepSeek code on their laptop. No problem. Don't even need the cloud, so to speak. So, you could really say how the Nvidia crowd couldn't believe it. They got brainwashed so much to accept numbers that were completely bloated and was so obvious about it. If you read Nvidia 10Ks and 10Qs disclaimers, it's all there. It's all there, what they were doing. Let's take an example of Singapore, okay? Now everyone figured out, well, how is it possible that they were selling so many GPUs to Singapore that, they don't even have the electricity in the whole country to run them. And then you go to read the disclaimer and they were not selling any GPU into Singapore. The GPUs never arrived in Singapore. That operation was simply used to cover up the real destination of the GPUs. This is the reality. And the people say, oh, this is normal for companies to use Singapore as a trading center for tax and efficiency. Yes, but they will disclose where is the end customer and be transparent about the geography. They will not hide the geography behind the trading company. So, point number 1. Point number 2, people now, after Singapore, we realize that Nvidia was selling billions and billions of GPUs into Taiwan. That, frankly speaking, is even more ridiculous than Singapore as a case. The data spent on data centers in Taiwan per year doesn't even reach $500 million. While Nvidia has been selling like tens of billions per year in Taiwan, okay? Where are those GPUs going? Why don't you say it? Why don't you disclose the geography, right? So Nvidia was almost trading at $4 trillion. It was big, okay? And despite this size, no one was truly reading the financial statements. No one was truly questioning what was going on there. No one was truly, be honest, intellectually honest, and look at things as they were, rather than taking at face value whatever was being told to them by this company PR machine. So clearly, it's obvious what's going to happen next. This company, as it happened several times already through its history, is going to crash hard down on Earth. I don't think they will go bust because, they will continue selling like GPUs, graphic cards, and whatever, but definitely not in the same amount that they portrayed so far. But I tell you, the good chunk of it is completely fake. So the operation per se is not going to go bust, I think, unless there is another small lab out there that is going to come up finally with LPUs that are the learning processing units, because GPUs, let's not forget, are graphic cards. They were not meant to be used for AI. And that will be the last nail in the coffin on the video. But before that happens, they should be continue running their operation, in theory. Unless what is going to come out from their books is of such an extent and magnitude that even if some good part of their operation that will remain, we will see something similar developing of the likes of Aaron or Work on before, because At the end of the day, that is what those people have been doing. Those billions and billions of dollars, that the more they talk, the more these billions kept increasing. And then you start seeing these billions sloshing around financial statements left and right without really understanding, what they were really used for, where the money was going. Follow the money. The money was always disappearing in this web of, companies clearly built to not being transparent, to hide things. So with this, I want to conclude saying, stop believing to whatever these people tell you at face value. Do your own research. Look at the number. Don't lose your critical thinking, because you may end up really hurt by this kind of actors. It's still not late to take precaution. If you think I'm wrong, yeah, I'm wrong. That's it. But at least see for yourself. And in general, be prepared, because now that the reality is sinking in, you will see a lot of things changing in the following weeks, because the world is not going to be the same. And in this kind of situations, big changes happen. And usually this kind of situation can be incredibly disruptive if you are on the wrong side of a trade. Thank you, everyone, for listening to it today. Thank you for your great support on social media, on X, here on YouTube, on Instagram, for reading and commenting my article that I really enjoy to put out there for you. I wish everyone a great weekend and talk soon.